Thank you for listening to the Roundtable discussions. We're honored to have Sheryl Smith as part of the Women in Energy series. I've known Sheryl for years, and she is actually one of my favorite people in the whole industry. She's has a tremendous background and is just a tremendous person. Um, the motivation behind this series is to show how some of the top women in the industry have broken down barriers for others to follow. My name is Stuart Keeter, and I'll be the facilitator for this forum. I'm the Director of Recruiting for Civil, Power, and Environmental Recruiting for MRI Raleigh. MRI is a Forbes Top 20 executive recruiting company, and I recruit top talent for companies in the civil, power, and environmental area. So let's begin the forum. Sheryl, tell us a little bit about your career and what is your current job.
Okay, thank you, Stu. I appreciate that kind introduction. I'm a civil engineer by training. I have a bachelor's and master's degree focused on geotech and pavement design. And my career started out in the waste management industry. I worked for two different solid waste companies. And was involved in doing acquisitions of landfills and transfer stations and recycling facilities. So my career had a focus on strategic planning, analyzing markets, customers, and doing the financial modeling to determine the feasibility of those opportunities. And my career did not go off in the direction of doing engineering design. I also had my own solid waste consulting firm for about 12 years, and a lot of my clients were former waste management companies that I had worked with when I was working for a waste firm. I was hired by Golder in '05, and they opened up their Columbus, Ohio office. My focus was on solid waste marketing projects, due diligence, as well as started to get involved with the power/energy industry. In 2011, I went to URS. I was hired as a regional business development person, got involved in federal markets, continued with solid waste pursuits as a seller doer, and got very involved in the coal ash industry and working with power utility clients, as well as becoming a client account manager. So my career kind of developed into a space where I became a regional market sector leader, leading account teams that were selling services to power/energy clients, as well as developing a niche in the beneficial reuse market. I worked briefly for Atlas Consultants, also in a business development role. And currently, I've been about 6 months with TRC, which is an engineering, environmental services, and construction management firm, international firm. And I am a national account manager focused on growing sales for power and utility clients with a focus on environmental services.
Great. What job do you want in the future?
Well, I really enjoy what I'm doing now, and I'm going to be expanding the role I have to bring in some deputy market directors, to help even grow the current strategic growth path that we're on. But ultimately, I'd like to become a vice president and have some more of the responsibilities that go along with that, signing off on proposals and getting involved in a lot of the strategic, more financial decisions.
Why did you choose to get into energy?
I would say it was not a conscious decision initially. When I went to school, As a civil engineer, I was very interested in construction and thought that my path would take me to a position with a consulting firm with a focus on civil engineering. But in my early days of working for solid waste companies, we were recovering energy from landfills, with landfill gas, waste to energy projects. I also got involved in looking at waste conversion technologies, refuse derived fuel. So there's been a lot of emphasis on energy all along my career path. And in 2008 is probably the first time when I got more interested with power clients. So, and it's just been an ongoing journey since then. There's a lot of focus on hydrogen now as an energy source, renewable natural gas opportunities, still landfill gas energy is a big place. So kind of, I guess I would say by default is how I got into the energy business.
Who inspires you?
There are a lot of different people in my life that I would say that I would inspire me. On a personal front, my children inspire me every day with what they do and how they're growing. My sister is a big inspiration to me. She has come back from a stroke and cancer and other personal health challenges and has never given up. That's been great motivation for me. I've also thrive on working with people, competitors, my colleagues, being part of teams, and I've been inspired by a lot of them to, be the best that I can and deliver the best quality services I can as part of a team effort, as well as, doing great work for our clients. So um, those are some of the, key key folks that inspire me on a day-to-day basis.
That's awesome. What has been the most surprising part of being a woman working in energy?
Well, I guess I would say for me, it has been pretty amazing to see how many women have gotten into engineering and the sciences, math and sciences over time, as well as the number of trade associations that have sprung up, and specifically looking at engineering and energy, such as the Society of Women Engineers or the Women's Energy Network, which I'm a member of in Ohio, and I'm on their board. There's WinUp, there's WRISE, which is a renewable energy focused trade association. And a lot of these organizations have been developed to give women the tools to excel not only in their practice that they have chosen, but to become better communicators and better leaders, and to provide them with leadership skills, confidence building, as well as educational tools to help them excel. So that to me is has been great to see over the years, and I hope it continues.
What is the favorite part of your career?
I think that one of the favorite things that I enjoy about my career is the ability to work with other people. I love mentoring people, whether it's women or men, and I think it comes kind of naturally. Not a focused, developed. You're my mentor. This is my mentee, but I like the ability to be creative, to think outside the box, turn obstacles into opportunities. If I'm part of a team putting together a proposal or executing a project, just to be able to help facilitate what's going on, bring some new ideas in. Um, in my current job, as well as in the last job, I have the opportunity to work across regions, across different practices, and often am able to stand up teams of people that haven't necessarily connected before. So that that's also a favorite part of what I do.
That's great. Sheryl, what is the most memorable moment working in energy?
I think one of my most memorable uh, experiences was leading a kickoff meeting for one of our utility clients after we had spent a lot of time working on a proposal, and we successfully executed an MSA with this client that we had not been working for before. So it took a lot of time and energy and thoughtful approach to the MSA process. And at the kickoff meeting, there were probably 20 people from the client that were there, from operations and legal and environmental compliance. And we probably had 7 or 8 people there. And just seeing the success of us being able to go from the proposal stage to executing an MSA and kicking off the project was, uh, a little bit scary, but it was also very memorable for me. And the team was there, and we were all supporting each other. So
What is the favorite project you worked on?
we had a project that we worked on for TVA. It is public, and it was a double-blind survey of best management practices for beneficially reusing coal combustion byproducts such as cenospheres, fly ash, bottom ash, FGD sludge. And I co-led the team on that opportunity, and we ended up interviewing 45 different utilities about their practices. What drives you to beneficially reuse these materials? We asked them questions such as, do you market these materials in-house, or do you use outside marketers? What are your greatest challenges? Do you have sustainability goals that are requiring you to do this? What kinds of factors do you look at when you decide to beneficially reuse materials? Sometimes, do you do it only if it's cost effective, or, do you subsidize some of these costs? So the end result was that we prepared a presentation that we sent to all the parties that were that agreed to participate in the survey, and it was double blind, so nobody knew who had responded to each question and what their responses were. But then we also were able to develop a presentation for WOCA.
Oh, wow.
So it and share that information with others. So it just was a very exciting project and opportunity to really kind of peer behind the curtain and learn about best management practices for beneficial reuse.
Well, that's great. What is the biggest challenge of being a woman working in energy?
Well, we have the opportunity to work with a lot of different people, whether we're women or men, and sometimes as a woman we are working with people perhaps who are kind of old school and may have their own impressions about who may have thoughtful comments to offer at meetings. So, having the confidence to be part of a discussion and making sure that as a woman, that you have a seat at the table, that you offer thoughtful um, direction and strategies, are things, that are important to remember, and can be challenges. I also think that sometimes we're not as, we, or it could be men as well, not familiar with some of the terminology or the technologies that are being used. So I always tend to ask a question if I'm not sure. Um, and another challenge, I think, and this relates to women as well as men, is just being able to learn how to communicate with people who have different personalities and approaches. So having an opportunity to read books about different personalities of people, or get training in that aspect, I think certainly uh, can help you work with a lot of different types of personalities in your job, whether it's colleagues or clients. So those are, I think, some of the challenges that I've encountered in my career.
What's the biggest change you have seen in the field since you started?
I think some of the biggest changes that I've seen are seeing more women in upper management and leadership positions, whether they're on boards of directors, whether they're chief growth officers, the establishment of diversity, equity, and inclusion positions, sustainability manager positions on some of the boards are big changes, as well as allowing more flexible work schedules for both men and women. And some of that's really developed in the past couple of years due to COVID. And companies, including TRC, that have put a big focus on trying to help women excel. They have a program called Grow, which is focused on having regional groups of women that can meet every month. A lot of it's done virtually, to bring in guest speakers or talk about topics of interest to the members, so women can have kind of a safe space to uh, talk about some of their problems, or maybe um, steps that they can take to help to advance their career. I also would say that I think there's been also a leveling on the payroll scale between men and women in the field since I've started.
What advice would you give someone starting out right now?
I've got lots of advice, Stu. So I'll try not to take too much time. But, I guess one of the biggest pieces of advice that I could give someone is to, you know, find something that you're passionate about, that you want to follow as a career, and ask a lot of questions, whether it's about the current work that you're doing, or what you might need to advance to another level. um, Showing a lot of enthusiasm, or going beyond what's required in your job, maybe signing up for additional opportunities to help out a team will certainly help get you noticed. Um, I would suggest finding someone that you maybe admire from afar, and try and get to know them better. See if they can help mentor you, even if it's in an unofficial way. If you need advice or need recommendations from them, that's always been a great opportunity for me, where I've had managers or colleagues who, I've been working with side by side, who have been willing to invest time in me to find out, what my needs were, whether it was education or from leadership perspective, and then helped me, and in some cases pushed me along and encouraged me to say, hey, you can do this job. We're right here to help you, and spread your wings and see how far you can go. I also am a very strong believer in joining trade associations. I've been involved in the National Solid Waste, I guess it's called the National Waste and Recycling Association in SWANA, probably 35 years, since I started my career. Also involved with the American Coal Ash Association. And those are great networking opportunities to meet other colleagues who have similar or different positions. There's also always educational opportunities, as well as opportunities to get to network with your clients. And for me, it's been an opportunity for me to pay back for people who helped me get engaged in the industries that I was starting to work in. I believe strongly in paying it forward. If someone's got a question, or they want to go a different direction in their career, or want to ask my advice, I always try and make time to help people do that. Or if they have a promotional opportunity and want to pick my brain, I mean, it gives me a lot of satisfaction. I say reach for the stars when you're thinking about your career, and go for whatever next interests you and interview for that position. And if you're not quite ready in your career to be able to get that position, at least you'll get feedback on what next steps may be required, if there's additional training or experiences that you might need to get to that next level. So if you don't make it the first time, regroup, figure out what the path is to get there, and try again. I would also say, don't fear the imposter syndrome. I just heard this word in the last year, I think, from my daughter, and because she was talking about, she's probably, I don't know, 8 years out now, maybe 8 years out from college, and she has relayed to me along the way, several times you start a new position and you really don't know what you're doing, and you get asked to be part of calls and you're not sure how to respond. And she said, yeah, Mom, it's like being an imposter. And I thought back to some times when I got promoted at work, took on a lot of new responsibilities, and internally I kind of felt that same way, and I just kind of threw myself into it and put in the time to learn what I didn't know, whether it was policies, procedures, or colleagues that were working in the same space as I was, to try and get to know them and to collaborate. So, use it as an opportunity to better who you are and what you're doing. And as I discussed earlier, having the ability to be able to communicate effectively with people who have different personalities can certainly help you along the path, as well as instead of saying, oh, well, that person is, so focused on their client and what they're doing, they're never going to help me with any of my projects. Try and find a different way to bring that person in to try and help you reach your goal. So I think I think that's probably it. Last words on that, Stu, I would say, try and take other people under your wing as you're going along your career path. That always helps. And it gives that other person a lot of encouragement to help them excel in what they're doing. And be kind, be considerate, and be patient with your colleagues, but also make sure you have a seat at the table so that your views can be heard as well.
That's great advice, Sheryl. What's been the most challenging times in your career?
Well, to be honest, I have been laid off 4 times in my career. And all of them have been a direct result of some sort of, financial crisis going on in the industry. And the last 2 times have happened in the last 2 years. So, being able to take a step back, um, evaluate the situation happened, and to then figure out what the next steps are for your next journey with your career is really important to do. And just move on, uh, take take the knowledge that you learned from wherever you were, and place it, going forward. But for me, that certainly was very challenging, and especially after being in the work industry for, many years, and then kind of having to restart over. Um, the other thing I would say is, sometimes there have been some challenges in just having the wonderful opportunity to be promoted and take on a lot of responsibility, um, coordinating activities and developing strategies to grow power across a large footprint. But, you know, kept my nose to the grindstone and asked for help, and it all turned out reasonably well.
Where do you see the industry going?
Well, the energy industry is certainly in a very complicated place right now. Um, we are seeing a lot of companies uh, and states that are adopting zero carbon, or what should I say, net zero carbon policies, no coal energy policies that are kind of turning some of the industry upside down. A lot of stakeholders want to close down coal plants and natural gas plants. So we have to have a viable alternatives for energy generation in the background. So I think we're, certainly, as everybody's aware, we're seeing a lot of renewable energy development. Uh, Many utilities have a big focus on capital expenditure for their infrastructure, uh, um, developing pole replacement programs, increasing the resiliency of their existing transmission networks to not only allow for new energy coming on from a lot of the renewable projects, but also to deal with climate change and some of the severe storm patterns that we have seen. We also are seeing companies that are shutting down some of their coal plants, or even fuel oil plants, in response to what's going on in the world, including recently what's going on with Ukraine and ban on products from Russia. So that is impacting some fuel oil fired gas plants in the US, or power plants, I should say. But that also gives us in the consulting business and utility business opportunities to develop this alternative power. I think the recent infrastructure bill is creating opportunities for hydrogen. We're seeing interest and are getting involved in uh, hydrogen fuel injection with some of our clients, and helping to permit some facilities in that area. Carbon sequestration and capture is another big area. We are um, involved with some regional hubs that have both energy um, research developers, universities, financial institutions and consultants engaged in trying to stand up a regional hub to take advantage of some of the dollars that are being allocated for carbon sequestration, capture, and storage. So a lot's going on in the industry, and it's going to be a great journey and very exciting to see how this all plays out, but creating a lot of challenges as well.
Great. Last question, Sheryl. What would surprise us about you?
Well, if you haven't been able to tell, I have a lot of energy, like staying active, and I love to dance. So, done some things along the way to, learn some new dance moves, and very engaged in the arts in Columbus through jazz orchestra, local theaters, and any opportunity to go listen to some decent rock and roll music. So that's what I'd say.
Well, great. Well, this has been wonderful. Thank you again, Sheryl, for doing this. And if you have any follow-up questions for Sheryl, please email Stuart@mriraleigh.com, STUART@mriraleigh.com. And thank you again.